Okay, guys, so we made it. We are at the end of our first training block. For those of you that don't know, we did essentially just a crash cycle. So working with Dallas, we decided that keeping it simple would be good. So we did 85% of 5 rep max on week 1, 90% on week 2, 95% on week 3. Week 4, we did 100%, deloaded to 50%. And then I wanted to run basically a mini meet. So that's what we're gonna go over here. So we essentially did a mock comp with Scotty. I had my friend Scott come in and help me load plates. He called each lift, so he did the proper powerlifting commands as best as he could. Obviously, he's not a professional coach, so I'm sure it's not perfect. But I wanted to get as close to an actual meet environment as possible and kind of see what numbers I could do. As you guys know, my back was injured. So the deadlift was the big sore thumb of this whole experience, but I'm gonna walk you guys through the first, or I guess the last 3 attempts, which are the only 3 attempts in a comp that you get, right? So I did 6 warm-ups, like you typically would, and then I went into doing my kind of 3 attempts, and I actually used a tool from Calgary Barbell that they have for deciding what your openers should be and what your attempts should be. It's a really cool form. I'll link it down below, but you guys can get it off the Calgary Barbell page as well. And what it does is it auto-regulates your attempts for you based on your 1 rep max or on your targeted 3rd attempt. And you end up getting your opener and kind of an A-B option for your 2nd and 3rd attempt. So it gives you a slightly lighter one and a slightly heavier one depending on how you're feeling off the opener. Really useful tool. The numbers that I plugged into that sheet were designed to get me a 1,000-pound total. That was reaching after 1 cycle, but I wanted to see how close I could get. The numbers we were looking for were going to be a 340 squat, to get a 240 bench, and to get a 420 deadlift. The last one being the loftiest of the goals, considering the fact that my back's been injured until, well, literally now. I would say these couple of days have been the first days where I actually kind of feel 100% with my back. But let's get into these attempts. I want to go over them with you guys, and there's a few PRs in here, so that'll be kind of exciting. There we go. I just wanted to pull up my meet card so I can actually tell you guys what we have on the bar. So looking at our first attempt, this first attempt felt really good. So 315 is something I've done before. I've done it for singles twice, including the last time on a Monday. This was the Friday of that week, and it felt really light. So this first attempt for us ended up being 305. 305 moved really well. I was very happy with depth. I thought it was pretty explosive. It was a little sticky in the bottom, but it was a great lift. The second lift, we went for our A attempt, which was 325. I was pretty happy with 325 as well. I thought it moved really well. The squat, I thought, performed super well this time around. My legs responded really well to the training. I think the modifications that I made to my hip mobility and the starting to squat with my hips and my glutes more really helped me out. Now, my 3rd attempt was the lofty one, and it's the one that I thought very well could go either way. It was 340, and it went. So 340 is a 25-pound PR in 5 weeks, which is pretty cool. That was a really hard lift for me, but I thought it moved pretty well. I really enjoyed being under that weight, and I felt really good afterwards. My hips didn't hurt. I have hip pinching problems. Those were not an issue. And yeah, that was really eventful in the best way, thank goodness. So squatting was really good. So we hit our 340-pound target, which honestly, I was baffled. Really cool that that went. So squat as a lift for me to hit 1,000 is ready. We're gonna keep pushing it and see if we can squeeze more out of it for the next training block. But yeah, I'm very happy with it. If I can get a 420 deadlift, if I can put that deadlift together, which I think 30 pounds in 2 training blocks. I mean, obviously I got injured, but hopefully I can add that 30 pounds to that deadlift, and then we'll be really good and in the range. Now, the next thing we did is bench. So this is in comp order, right? You typically squat, then you would bench press, then you would deadlift. So the first weight I took on the bench training has been so cool. I've seen so much heavy improvement. On bench, it's been wild. Goal weight here was 240 for the 3rd attempt. We did a 215 opener. The 215 I thought was quite good, felt nice. I did 225 for 2 on Monday when I was prepping, and yeah, it moved really well. I was very comfortable with it. I think looking at my bench press for me, I'm a little disappointed with the speed of it. I might have to do a little bit more speed work on a lighter bench day. I find the second I get close to kind of 85%, it just starts to move really slowly, and I wasn't thrilled about that. So we'll see if maybe we'll add some speed bench work. Now the second attempt was a pretty surprising one too. 230, and it was the slowest, grindiest bench press I think I've ever done. There was almost downward movement at one point, but I don't think it moved down. You guys can tell me what you think based on what you see in the video, but man, that was a grind and a half. Holy crap. Third attempt, we went to the lofty goal of 240. Before today, I never pulled more than 225 for a single. 225 for a double on Monday. So 240 was pushing it. Even using a really generous calculator, there was no way I was going to get that 10 pounds, but I wanted to try. I wanted to see what it would feel like in my hands. To be honest with you, it wasn't too bad. Looking at my descent, I thought it was really good. I had it in good control. I think looking at the video here, I did actually get it off my chest a little, which is nice. So that means that my shoulders are capable of handling it. I think my chest and my triceps are just not quite there yet, but I can't complain. So when we started this cycle, my best bench was 205, and now my best bench is 230. So we've added 25 pounds to that bench as well. So between these two lifts, we've added 50 pounds in 5 weeks, just on 2 lifts, which is wild. This is where I started getting in my head a little bit, because I was very disappointed in myself for letting myself injure my back. Which sounds silly, but being this close to this goal, if I would have been able to keep my deadlift together and pull 430 here, I would have had 1,000 pound total in a single training block, which is wild. I was training before, obviously, but they were not dedicated powerlifting blocks. I was kind of focusing on the big 3 lifts and doing a bunch of accessories. Sometimes I would do triples, sometimes I would do singles, depending on how I was feeling. It was very disorganized and kind of jumbled up training. Basically just getting used to lifting again. This was the first dedicated block. So in that 5 weeks to get 50 pounds on those 2 lifts is wild. I thought that was so good. And the best that I told you guys that I'm basing that 50 pound improvement on for those 2 lifts are based on the 1RMs that I tested before starting this block. So these 5 weeks are the only things that contributed. So this is crazy. And as far as supplementation goes, really all I'm taking is creatine religiously every morning. The standard dose, nothing crazy. I'm taking an NAD plus booster for cellular repair, and I'm taking L-glutathione, which also helps with cellular repair. Those 2 I found have done a lot for my concentration and recovery, but I mean, I'm not doing anything crazy. I'm not even taking exogenous protein, really. I'm just trying to focus on eating more clean protein. So super stoked about that. So the deadlift was really disappointing for me. I was feeling quite good this day. My back wasn't bothering me. Even after the heavy squats, it was really good. So we warmed up. I pulled 265 on my last warm up, or sorry, 365 for my last warm up. And then I put a number on the bar that was 5 pounds less than my max before. So 390 was my max before that I pulled. I pulled that in straps. No straps in powerlifting competition, so we lost the straps. I put 385 on the bar. The first attempt, it moved off the floor about an inch, and I started feeling my back just a little. And everything in my brain just said, put the bar down. And I put the bar down. I didn't necessarily feel like I was going to get injured if I kept pulling, but my brain just was not ready to commit to that pull. I listened to some music, tried to really zero in, focus on my bracing, focus on my technique, really focus on pushing the floor away, go in with a little bit more confidence. In the second attempt, I got it to about, I would say, probably an inch or so, a few inches off my knee. I'm just going to have a look back at this again. Yeah, it looks like about an inch or 2 off my knee. And it actually felt really good, but again, I could feel my back. And I had 2 conflicting messages come out of my brain. The one was push, you son of a bitch. And the other one was put it down. Just put it down. And so I put it down. It was what it was. It just wasn't the day for a heavy pull. I think I need one more training block, being able to get through 4 weeks of deadlifting consistently without getting injured, get my head back and get back on the deadlift. And I think I can put serious numbers on this lift. The deadlift is my best lift. If I can stay uninjured, I'm sure I can get the 30 pounds I need here, but I have to keep myself together. And we'll talk about how we're gonna focus on that for training. The last attempt, Scotty and I talked about it. If this was a real meet, I would have gone to 365, I would have pulled 365. 385 is a doable number for me, I know it is. I've held 405 in my hands doing grip for way longer than needed to pull it. Pushing that weight off the floor with my legs, I can easily do. The back was the limiting factor, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to commit to trying to get over the mental hurdle and trying that 385 again, or if I would do the responsible thing and I drop 10 pounds and I go to 375. We decided to do the responsible thing, we dropped to 375. I think by this point, after doing all these other lifts back to back and losing the amount of mental energy that I did, worrying about what the hell was going on in my head, I just didn't have any gas left. This 375 didn't even come off the floor. If it did, yeah, it barely floated. I got some bar bend and that's about it. So if you took my 3 attempts, technically I would have bombed the meet if this was an actual meet, which is disappointing because we wouldn't have put a deadlift up in those 3 attempts. But if we were at a meet, I wouldn't have gone down to 375, I would have gone down to 365, something I know I can pull. If we counted that, our total meet would equal out to be a 340 squat at best. It would be a 230 bench, and it would be a 365 deadlift, totaling 935 pounds. That means we are currently, I should be able to do mental math, 65 pounds short of 1,000, which is really, really good. Seeing that this is our first training block, I'm really happy with the results, especially with the amount of weight that we added to the bench. On a percentage basis, that is a crazy percentage to add to a lift in 5 weeks, in my opinion. Newbie gains are a thing, kids. So my plan, I think, going forward is I'm gonna run another 5x5 cycle for strength until I hit that 1,000. I'm pretty confident that after this next 5-week training block, if I can keep my back together, I'm going to total over 1,000. It won't be by much, but I'm quite certain I can beat that 1,000 number. I need 65 pounds, which means between each lift, if we take that 65, divide it by 3, we need to add 21 pounds to each lift. And I think I have more than that in that deadlift by a long shot. So I've pulled 390. If I can improve on my best, first of all, if we hit 390, we're already a lot of the way there. If I get past 390 and I hit 405, which I think is a reasonable goal to put 15 pounds on that deadlift with a healthy back in the next 5 weeks, and I hit 405, we can run that math again and we can go 405 on the deadlift. Let's take my current numbers again. So we'll take 340 for the squat, we'll take 230 for the bench. That puts us at 975, which means we only have 25 pounds to get out of the squat and the bench. And I'm dead certain I can get more than that on the squat. I think I can add another 25 pounds to that squat. I think 365 squatting at the end of this next block is absolutely a possible thing for me. So what we're going to do is grind it out. We're going to work with what works. This setup has been phenomenal. I'm going to use these new percentages or these new 1-rep numbers, set up new percentages, set up a new training block. We're going to do it all over again, starting at week 1 at 85% and working our way up 5% a week for 4 weeks, doing a deload for 5, and then we'll retest again. I'm really impressed with these results. I'm so stoked on that squat. It was deep. It was done to call. I think it's done to powerlifting standard. If you disagree, obviously feel feel free to drop a comment. I would love to hear what you think needs to change. I think that bench will improve a little bit too. I think I can put at least 10 pounds on that bench before we retest. So I personally am thrilled with these results. There's some disappointment in the deadlift, but I think genuinely we're in a really good spot. The goal is to stay humble. No more 1 rep maxing for another 5 weeks until we get through the next training block. Staying consistent as I have been. I've been so good at going to the gym on a regular basis and being on top of things. You guys haven't been in the gym with me the whole time, and this video is happening from home and not from the gym because I really wanted to keep my head on the lifts that day. But I thought this format would be better for review anyways. So I am so thrilled with everything. Genuinely, it's been a fantastic trip and it's only going to get better. So thanks for checking in, guys. It's been a wild 5 weeks. I think we've had some good results. Let me know if you think there's anything I could have done better or different, if you think those lifts would have carried in a comp, if they would have counted, if I would have gotten green lights. If you think something would have been red lighted, let me know and why in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. Keep following along on the journey, and I think really soon here we are going to end the Road to 1,000 Pound series, and we're going to start the first meet series. Based on the numbers I have now, if I break 1,000 in the next month, it leaves me 10 months-ish to train for my first meet. And I think in that 10 months, I can add another 100 pounds to that total. So it would be really fun to go to that first meet and try to post a 1,111 pound total. I think that would be really cool. So that's what we're going to keep working towards. And hopefully in the next 5 weeks, we can put the Road to 500 series to bed. Thanks for checking in, guys. First training day of week 1 will be tomorrow, and it'll be deadlifts. So we'll take you guys on that workout tomorrow, and we're going to go back to our standard vlogging format for the next 5 weeks. If there's a video that you would like me to do on anything that, anything you guys think would be interesting, either breaking down the lifts or things that I've learned about those lifts, or how I do my basic programming, any of the resources that I use to get knowledge on these lifts, anything you think would be a cool video concept that you'd be stoked to watch, drop it in the comments and I'll try to do it for you. Otherwise, we are going to catch you guys on deadlift day tomorrow.